Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming along today to the gallery to attend this special council meeting that was called by the Mayor regarding our draft annual business plan and budget for 2025. And this is to be going out to public consultation. So we will start with, I've asked some of the members of the council to read out various acknowledgements, and we'll start with Marilyn Henderson to read the Acknowledgement of Country and Diversity Commitment.
The City of Victor Harbor acknowledges the Ramangeri and Ngarrindjeri people, the traditional custodians of the land and surrounding waters where we live and work. We acknowledge their deep spiritual connection to country and pay our respects to elders past, present, and those still emerging. This respect is also extended to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people across Australia. The City of Victor Harbor is also committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion. We respect people of all ages, abilities, genders, sexualities, religions and beliefs, cultures and backgrounds.
We recognise the brave individuals who have served and continue to serve our nation. Remember those who have lost their lives and pay the ultimate sacrifice for service to our country.
Almighty God, we ask you to bless this council and to allow it to be an agent of change to the people of this city and beyond. Direct and prosper its deliberations to the honouring of your name and the welfare of the people whom it serves. Amen.
We have an apology from the Mayor, Moira Jenkins, this evening, so hope she is well. We'll move on to our business of the evening, which is our draft annual business plan and budget, with the view to going out to public consultation. This evening we have two recommendations in place within this recommendation. So firstly, I will ask Victoria to read out the first part of the recommendation, please.
That council include a $60,000 provision for a contribution towards the Encounter Community Centre within the draft 25-26 annual business plan and budget for the purposes of public consultation, with a final decision on the inclusion of the contribution to be considered through the annual business plan and budget adoption process.
Do we have a mover and a seconder to that motion?
Yes, Councillor Schiller, I would like to move that. Councillor Henderson.
If we have a seconder at all?
Councillor Schofield, I second the motion.
Thank you. I'll ask the mover and the seconder after the mover whether they would like to speak to the motion.
Yes, thank you. I think this is a very affordable way to support a community centre that already exists. And really, in our whole budget, it is a very small amount of money. I believe the Encounter Community Centre is progressing extremely well from a very difficult situation where they began, and with a little bit of financial support have just gone on to improve and improve. And I think this additional support funding will help them plan and improve further. Without adequate funding, any business is unable to plan well for the future, but with a little bit of security, knowing there is funding there to work further into the future to improve a business plan, I think it is very reassuring and they are more likely to succeed. I'd also like to say that there was a very misleading statement made at the briefing session. It was stated by Councillor Kent that we had the opportunity for a community centre several years ago. It was the previous council, and we didn't take that up. Well, that wasn't quite the whole picture. What we had was the opportunity to buy a building at great expense, which may or may not have been turned into a community centre. But if it had, the council would have had the question then of how that community centre would be run. Most likely the council may or probably would have ended up running it, again, at great cost. The Encounter Centre already exists. We don't have to buy the building. They already have a board which runs this business. And with a little bit of financial support, I hope they improve and improve into the future. And I'd like to finish by saying this is basic council business. It's what councils are here for, to support basic community services.
Councillor Schofield, would you like to contribute to the debate?
No, thank you.
Do we have anyone else that would like to contribute to the debate? If you can just announce that, that would be great.
Yeah, Councillor Stuart Burns.
Councillor Burns, go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. As I mentioned at the last discussions, we had the workshop. I'm happy to support this. I believe that we could identify an offset out of the existing proposed budget of 60,000 to cover it. I think I've found potential offset, which I'll discuss when we go through the annual business plan and budget adoption process. But in principle, I'm supportive of this.
Just a clarification, the next component isn't adopting the annual business plan and budget, it is taking it to public consultation. So
No, I'm aware of that. I was saying when we go through further discussions about the budget adoption process, then I'd bring up a potential offset.
okay, thank you for clarifying that. Anybody else that would like to speak to the debate?
Councillor Kemp.
Okay, Councillor Kemp.
I'll just have to, for records, to keep the record straight, I have to rebuttal Councillor Henderson. There was a youth centre that was proposed that we would purchase the building for to provide that centre, not a community centre. It could be used for a community centre if we did purchase it, but we didn't. So again, that's just another story for another day. But from my point of view, on principle, I'll support this motion, but generally speaking, I think now that we've already given $60,000 towards the community centre, Encounter Centre, I think that another 60,000, I think, should be just through monitoring. We can see how they're performing, and we can always bring again if they need it, not so much doing it that way, because I think we don't want to keep gifting all the time because people will expect that will happen. So I will support it at this stage just to see what the public think about the extra $60,000 to the Encounter Centre.
Is anyone else like to speak to the debate? If not, I'll allow Councillor Henderson to close the debate if she wishes to. If not, we'll put it to the vote.
No, I'm happy with that. Thank you.
All right, I'll call for all those in favour to please raise your hand. That is unanimous. Thank you very much. Now we'll move on to the second part of the recommendation, which is looking to take the annual business plan and budget to public consultation. And I will ask the CEO to please read the full recommendation out.
Second recommendation is that Council endorse the draft 25-26 annual business plan and budget provided at attachment 3 for the purposes of public consultation commencing on the 12th of May 2025 to the 2nd of June 2025 in line with the communication and engagement plan provided at attachment 4.
I'll call for a mover, please. And then if you announce your name, that would be great.
Councillor Schofield.
Thank you, Councillor Schofield. Do we have a seconder?
Councillor Henderson.
Thank you, Councillor Henderson. Councillor Schofield, would you like to speak to this motion?
No, thank you.
Councillor Henderson, would you like?
No, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else that would like to speak to the motion?
Councillor Stuart Burns.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I supportive of this going out for public consultation. I just have a problem with one section. At the discussions we had 3 elected members were supportive of reducing the proposed rate increase from 6% to 5%, and 3 that were supportive of reducing it from 6% to 4%. Yet only the 5% was included in. There was no clear indication that that was the majority. And in here it's got 5%, which I have an issue with. Also that the additional, the concerns that raised at the previous workshop was that I understand it's gone out to public consultation about proposed rate increases once we start the construction of the sports precinct, and the additional 2% or 1% I believe shouldn't be included in the 2025-6 annual report, because we haven't made a decision yet and we certainly haven't started construction. And I think that part should be deferred completely. We've already got an amount in there for financial sustainability and asset renewal. We've also got CPI, and that should be sufficient. Thank you.
Just a clarification, at our briefing session, as in any briefing session, no vote occurred. So it was just a feeling of the room. And so I am assuming that administration have taken what was sort of the discussion that was taken at that particular briefing session, not necessarily a vote as you're stating. So I'll just clarify that before we move on. Would anyone else like to speak to the debate?
Councillor Corimba.
Thank you. Go.
Thank you, Councillor Schiller. And I'm glad that you did bring that up, that it wasn't a vote, but it just seems, and I would concur with Councillor Burns, that it seems that more weight was presented to the opinion of half the chamber versus the other half. But what has happened has happened. My question I have for the CEO, 2.5 CPI, correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember reading in the Alexandrina draft budget, they're actually using CPI of 2.4. So I'm wondering, are councils not using the same CPI forecast?
I'm not aware of what Alexandrina is using. I'm managing City Victor Harbour's budget. So I'm happy to pose the question, as was based as per the long-term financial plan.
Yeah. I just think it's important that, you know, when you're talking, and I know you are managing Victor Harbour, my thing is that when councils obviously speak, or is there a consensus as to what CPI is being used?
Yes, there is, and I'm happy for Kelly to explain that further as to which quarter we actually draw upon.
Thank you. Through the Mayor. So Alexandrina may be using 2.4, which was the March quarter. For CPI, we've used what's forecast by the RBA for 30th of June.
Okay, so there's no consistency as to what councils use, and there's no arbitrary figure that you must use. It's just
there's no
whatever
requirement.
Each council chooses. Okay,
there's no requirement by legislation.
Not a problem. And also concur. Yeah, I would say that, you know, going out with that extra 1%, we've already gone out with 1.2. Look, I have no issue with it going out, but I can tell you now, if the precinct doesn't go ahead, I'll be moving a motion to return that money to the ratepayers, because as far as I'm concerned, we asked them for it under a certain set of circumstances. If those circumstances do not proceed, then it is only fair that that money go back to the ratepayers.
By taking this to whatever the chamber decides, we are allowing our community to express any concerns that they have with the portions that we've put for each part of the rating. So just a clarification that this is just going out to public consultation, and we will be able to hear from people whether they are concerned about those particular add-ons. Would anyone else like to contribute to the debate?
Councillor Kemp.
Councillor Kemp.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor. I support this in principle. There are elements in the annual plan and budget which I think the community needs to see and make a decision on if they support the annual plan and budget by their feedback to the council. But to me, at the moment, the deficit's far too extravagant. Our expenditure is too high. And I know we talk about the long-term financial plan, but it's only a guide towards our annual plan when we build our plan and budget. So I think that we'll be interested to see what the feedback from the community is.
Would anyone else like to speak to the debate?
Councillor Mann.
Thank you, Councillor Mann.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Yeah, no, I guess just to add as well, I think there's been a lot of work already occur with preparing these documents, and I just want to thank administration for the work they put in. But there's still a bit more work to be done, and I think this is an important point to test and check with the community as to where it currently sits. For example, there's still some work to be done around investigating the rates exemption for first home buyers, which we're still waiting for that information back. So there's still some things to look at, what goes in, what comes out. But I think what we've got here is a good initial indicator to go out with the community on.
Certainly things could change between now and when we get to final adoption. So although we've done a lot of work in the past months, we still have more consultation and thoughts for our chamber to continue with when it comes to adoption. So I would like to ask whether anyone else would like to contribute to our debate. If not, I'll ask the opener, the mover, whether they would like to close the debate. If that's closed, we will now put the vote out, and we will ask those who are in favour to please raise their hand. That's carried. Those against? Okay, that has been carried. So thank you for having that debate tonight. We do not have any confidential items this evening, so I will close the meeting at, Victoria will tell me the time.
5:47.
Thank you.